Hi, welcome to Cinematic Music Production Tips. This video is about Reverb Predelay. Simply put, pre-delay is the amount of time that it takes for your reverb to kick in. Using a pre-delay can help create more clarity in your mix, although there are situations in which you want your reverb to start immediately and therefore will avoid using a pre-delay. But often enough, especially when using orchestral instruments that have a lot of ambience in the recordings, having no reverb pre-delay interferes with the room sound of the samples and makes them sound muddier and less defined. Here's a quick example with some strings. First with pre-delay set to 0 milliseconds. And here's the same example with a pre-delay of 70 milliseconds. Setting a pre-delay for your reverbs is a great way of providing a bit more clarity and separation between the source signal and the reverb. Most reverb plugins have a separate pre-delay dial that allows you to specify a value, but if your reverb of choice doesn't have this control, you could also simply delay your entire reverb bus separately. Here are some examples of pre-delay values for different instruments. These values are what I normally aim for, but depending on the type and length of reverb that you're using, you may want to tweak these a little bit until they sound good to you. Strings, between 50 and 80 milliseconds. Woodwinds, harp and keys, 40 to 50 milliseconds. And brass, 30 to 40 milliseconds. As you can see from these values, instruments that are closer use longer pre-delays, and instruments that are far away use shorter pre-delays. Basically, the longer the distance between the sound source and the reflective surfaces, the walls of your reverb, the longer it takes for the sound of the instrument to travel to the wall and then reflect back. Strings are close to the listener, but far from the walls, and therefore need a longer pre-delay than brass, which in turn is far away from us, but much closer to the walls and uses a shorter pre-delay. Be careful when using a pre-delay with percussion instruments or anything else with a very strong and sharp transient. These sounds require a bit of extra care. For example, here is a snare drum with a 40 millisecond pre-delay. Here the transient of the attack of the drum is so strong that the pre-delay creates a second attack, which sounds a bit like a flam. To avoid this, we need to lower the pre-delay. Generally, anything less than 30 milliseconds does not sound separated to our ears. Let's lower the pre-delay to 20 milliseconds and listen again. That's quite a bit better. Now the double attack effect is reduced, but the pre-delay still leaves room for the original transient of the snare drum to be crisp and clear. But what if we didn't use a pre-delay at all? Notice how not using a pre-delay makes the attack a bit less snappy and pushes the snare a bit more back into the room. Sometimes that might be exactly what you need. There's a few other tricks that can help when using reverb with percussion, like EQing your reverb or changing stereo width. But I'll talk more about those in upcoming videos. That's all for this time. Thanks for watching.